Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick overview of the new Kalashnikov USA KP-9. This is a 9mm Kalashnikov based pistol, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. It does not come with this. This is basically an exact clone of the Vityaz, however you want to say it, 9mm Russian sub-carbine. So you can see that the mags are exactly the same. Rail dust cover, rear sight. It's got the 5.5mm rear trunnion. It's basically a pretty true clone to the Vityaz. We're going to go through some of the details step by step and going to kind of give you our first impressions. The pistol is shipped with a sling loop plate in the back, and we actually took this off. This is a RSA 5.5 prototype. This will be a stock adapter that we will be offering for this specific pistol. And as you can see, we've got the SB FS 1913 brace on this. It's a folding brace that folds to the side. Let's see here. Like that. It's very similar to the SIG braces. Tucks nicely. It's a nice option for this gun. The KP-9 has a shortened AK receiver, as you can see. The front part here is cut off a little bit shorter, and this has a 9mm trunnion, of course, and barrel. The mags are specific to the KP-9 and the Vityaz, or Vits, or however you want to call it. See there, Kalashnikov USA. And they insert directly in, just like MP5 or anything else. And as far as the bolt, it does not lock open on the last round. We'll start on the muzzle end. The muzzle device is a copy of the Vits brake. You can see it's pretty much identical in the way it's manufactured. The front sight is just a front sight only, no gas block, because this is a blowback design. The handguards are the same size as an AK-74 AKM, and this should accept most standard AKM AK-74 accessories. The rear sight is marked 5, 10, 15, and 20, and the dust cover has its 1913 rail slots marked as well. So the dust cover is hinged, as you can see. And it feels rather solid. It's got a little bit of play, but nothing major. I think it would be a good mount for a red dot. So once it's locked in place, it really has zero play whatsoever. The receiver is standard 1.5mm AK receiver that has been shortened for the 9mm. It does have the Y stamp and the tombstone on this side. And one unique thing about the trunnion is the barrel pin actually extends out, and that's what is your stock latch for the 5.5 KUSA stock. So when you fold this over, that's what the stock latch is on, instead of the standard latch like you would see with a 4.5 and a 5.5mm stocks. The trigger is a Tapco USA G2. You know, I don't have any complaints about the Tapco triggers. They do a good job. And the grip is basically a clone of what you'd see on the Vits. It's actually pretty comfortable. The top's a little narrow, but for the most part, it's actually a pretty comfortable grip. Let's take this thing apart and check out the insides. Always make sure your gun is safe and clear before you disassemble. The recoil spring seems to be pretty standard, except for this piece that's on the bottom here. And I would assume that's to keep the bolt carrier from coming out. I know the NAK9 has a little plastic piece that sits down inside the receiver, so I'm assuming this does the same thing. Here is your bolt and carrier. It's interesting in the way it's designed. You can tell that this piece and this piece is separate, just like an AK, where the gas piston goes in. You can see the weld marks on there. It looks like it's pinned and welded, just like a standard AK. It's got a spring-loaded pin right here. The extractor comes in from the top. As you can see here, it's kind of at an angle, and it's pretty interesting in the way it's designed. The firing pin is spring-loaded. You can see that very well. It looks like it's possibly 3 pieces, but I can't tell. It could be this is 1 piece here, this is 1 piece here, and this is 1 piece here. If it's not, I'm not sure how they would machine this geometry down in here. It's possible, but very unlikely. So I would assume it's made in 3 pieces. Inside the receiver is exactly what you would expect. Looks exactly like an AK. Ejector's in the standard spot. It's got a standard fire control group, standard T-nut, standard 5.5mm rear trunnion. And of course, the only thing that would be different would be your front trunnion. You can tell that it's got dual bullet guides, so the bullets can feed from both sides of the mags. Selector itself looks pretty standard, other than its shape here, which is a little unusual. You can see the KUSA, probably laser engraving on that, and it's got S and F on the side. Overall, the build quality on this is really nice. It does have a gas tube lever, just like a standard AK. So we're gonna take this off and look in the gas tube. Well, this is technically not a gas tube because it's a blowback design. It's just really an upper handguard holder. But everything fits really nice and snug, as you would expect for spending the kind of money that you spend on one of these. Let's take this off and look at it. So here's your gas tube that's not a gas tube. It does come with a spring on the back to keep it tight, although I don't think it needs it because it fits really tight. You can see all the parts are finished really nicely. The lower handguard uses a standard handguard retainer. So you flip this up. See if I can get this out and wrench down in here. Just flip this lever up, slide it forward, and your handguard comes off. Now to me, this looks like a standard handguard. So other handguards should fit that fit AK-74, AK-47. You may have to do some modifications to the rear back here. Just what the inside of the trunnion or the inside of the receiver looks like. I don't know if I can get it up here without hitting the camera. So you can see down inside the receiver down here. And here is handguard retainer. Standard handguard retainer, standard cut. No side cuts or anything like that on the barrel. Rear sight block looks pretty standard in the way it mounts, of course with the exception that it's got the hinge for the dust cover. The barrel is threaded 1/2 by 28, which is awesome because that allows you to use most 9mm suppressors. The only downfall is the detent location on this is much higher than a typical AK. So the muzzle devices like our RD4C and RD2C and 1/2 by 28 won't fit because the detent doesn't work. So if you wanted to use those, you would have to use shims or a crush washer or something to time them properly. It does use a standard, or appears to be standard, windage drum and front sight post. And I also found it cool that they had enough attention to detail to actually line this up front and back. The attention to detail on this gun is actually pretty awesome. They've even got their own stamp here. It looks like a K in a circle, which is really cool. Kind of reminds you of the Y stamp on the Russian barrels. But so far, overall, very impressed with the overall quality of this firearm. So you know what's next. Let's take this out to the range and shoot it a little bit.